welcome to the Gadsden Times Kickoff Show, and I'm Teddy Couch. This is Kevin Taylor, and we're back with another full slate of football.
It is indeed, Teddy. This week really gets to be probably one of the most important weeks of the year. Majority of the teams across the state will be opening region play, and so now we get to start talking about playoffs. That's right. It's time to start talking about playoffs, playoff positions, where teams might go, whether they go into the playoffs or whether they start warming up the gym and getting ready for basketball season. Right. But looking at a number of teams just in our area, we may just have a good number of teams playing deep into November. Just recently, the Alabama Sports Writers poll came out, and Etowah County now has two number 2 teams in the state. You've got Etowah at 5A at number 2 in the state, undefeated, coming off a 19-0 win over Moody. And then now you've also got Hoax Bluff, a good win over Southside last Thursday to open the season, and they have jumped a spot to number 2 in the state in 4A. So, you know, we're looking at some good teams in this area alone, and just to name a few: Etowah, Hoax Bluff, Cedar Bluff in 2A is in at number 10, and at number 1, big shock, Fife is now number 1 in 2A, and then also you've got Piedmont at number 3 in 3A. Matter of fact, the top 3 teams in the state all come from one region.
Yes, they do.
And one of those teams just so happens to be Randolph County, and they get Glencoe to open up the region slate. So this week should be interesting. So let's start kind of running down some of the games that are going on this week. Coosa Christian goes to R.A. Hubbard. That's a good 2.5, 3 hour drive for Coosa in their new region. And in 1A, Etowah goes to Crossville. Gadsden City is at home against Sparkman. Gadsden goes to Ranburne. Glencoe, as we said, hosts number 1, Randolph County. Number 2, Hoax Bluff goes to White Plains. Sardis is at home against Southside Friday night, and that's probably our biggest game of the county will be that game. Westbrook goes to Vinemont. West End goes to Cleveland. Albertville goes to Fort Payne. Boaz to Douglas. Cedar Bluff hosts Ashbury. Cherokee County, they're kind of an up-and-coming team, and a team we need to keep an eye out for. Cherokee County goes to Anniston. Collinsville goes to North Sand Mountain. Fife hosts Section. Galesville goes to Victory Christian. Geraldine hosts Plainview. Ohatchee goes to Woodland. Piedmont will host Pleasant Valley. Sandrock goes to Eider. And Asheville goes to number 9, Jacksonville. So busy slate of football for Friday night, and be sure to join us probably around 11 o'clock Friday night for the Gadsden Times review. We'll review the games that we've staffed personally, and then also touch on some of the games that we've heard from around the county, around the area, and around the state. Matter of fact, probably the biggest game in the state will be over at the Hoover Met when Thompson, who is ranked now number 1 in Class 7A, takes on Hoover. Hoover got thumped earlier last week, 42-14 by St. John's out of Washington, D.C., and dropped in the polls. And so Thompson is looking for their second win ever in the school's history over Hoover. Who do you like?
I'm interested to see how Tua's little brother, you may have heard of him, that quarterback from Alabama, getting a little bit of talk here lately.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is he the starting quarterback?
I don't know. I wouldn't ask Coach Saban that one.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't either. No.
But it's hard
kind of a touchy subject.
You know, Talia's Tagovailoa, he's looking good. Going up against Hoover, they beat them in the regular season for the first time in school history, but then Hoover got them back in the playoffs when it really mattered.
Yeah.
For me, it's just hard to go against Hoover. I mean, I'm just going to have to go with Hoover here in this one. What about you?
You know, I'm going to go with the hot hand. You know, I know Hoover's going to want to come back and prove that they're not a you know, a 42-14 loser to St. John's for nothing. I think I like Thompson. You know, this quarterback is something special from what I've heard. Matter of fact, I've even heard that he may even be better than his brother, and if that's the truth, then Alabama fans are just they should be happy for a while.
Yes, they should be for sure.
Well, let's touch on the games that are going to be happening around here.
Gadsden really impressed me last week at Sand Rock. They went up 12-0, ended up losing. Was it 20-12, 21-12?
Yeah.
This week they're opening region play at Ramburn. Who do you like in that?
I'm going to have to go with Gadsden. I like the Bulldogs still. I mean, I know I picked Gadsden last week to beat Sand Rock and came just shy of being right. But I really like Gadsden. You know, Ramburn coming off a 41-7 win over Glencoe. Glencoe is probably doesn't have one of their better teams this year. Let's just be honest. But I really like the Bulldogs.
Same here. This one was a tough one for me to pick. We do our Gasparts every week, and this was one of them. And this one was really tough. But I really liked Gadsden. You know, Swain. We know how great of a coach he is,
yep.
And I really believe that Gadsden pulls out the win this week. Westbrook travels to Vinemont. That's our only county team that is not in region play this week.
Right.
Who do you like in that?
Let's see. Vinemont, they lost 32-28 to Falkville. Westbrook, you know, they've only given up 12 points all season. We're only two games in, but still only giving up 6 points each game. 2-0. I've got to go with Westbrook. They are just really hot right now.
Yeah, kind of like the reason you said you're going with Thompson. I guess I'm going to do the same thing with Westbrook. I'm going to go with a hot hand and get the Warriors get 3-0.
There you go.
West End traveling to Cleveland. West End's really struggling so far this season.
Yeah, I tell you, West End, I think they gave up close to, a little over 600 yards of total offense last week when they lost 68-28 to Pleasant Valley. Cleveland comes in 1-0. They beat Locust Fork 41-7. I'm going to have to go with the home team on this one. I look for West End to drop to 0-3.
Same here. I mean, I'm going to go with Cleveland. You know, you don't want to be struggling heading into Cleveland. Pretty good ball team, and I got Cleveland in that one as well. And then moving over to the teams we got at home Friday night, we got Randolph County traveling to Glencoe, as we already talked about. That one's a little interesting. You know, Glencoe's, struggled last year with the new coach this year, and Brian Allred. What a region they have. Like, as you mentioned earlier, 1, 2, and 3 in the regions, number 1 in the state. And then you also have 3 other teams, Wellborn, you have Weaver, and Pleasant Valley receiving votes.
Right.
I mean, that region, outside of Hoover and Thompson's region, this one's the toughest one in the state for me.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, Teddy. I think right now you could easily make the argument that that Region 6 Class 3A is the toughest region in the state when you've got 1, 2, 3 ranked. I mean, wow. That's impressive. Randolph County, they're coming off a season opening win, 28-14 over Notasulga. Notasulga has routinely had a really good ball club, so that's a good win for Randolph County to open the season. I like the Tigers.
Yeah, the Tigers, their running back from last year, he ran for 1,400 yards, 21 touchdowns, tore his ACL for the season started. And then I ran in the Randolph Leader that they had 2 other running backs transfer in the summer.
Yeah.
So they're down to 1 running back with experience and then guys behind them. But, it's hard not to go Randolph County in this one, so I got Randolph County winning as well. And then Hoax Bluff at White Plains.
All I can say is I really like Darien Meads.
Right.
I'm going to ride the Darien Meads train, just like I'm sure Coach Mike Robertson's going to ride that train because Mr. Meads is something special. 25 carries, 201 yards, 4 touchdowns last week in the win over Southside. White Plains, they're 1-1 coming in. They lost 41-8 to Ohatchee last week. unless the wheels fall off or Hoax Bluff gets a flat tire on the way to White Plains, I really like Hoax Bluff to win this going away.
And we know what Meads will probably do in this game, like he always does. Run the ball a lot. I'm curious to see how Ashton Gullich does in this one. I think it might be one of those games where they're not going to have to throw it a lot. So
right.
I'm kind of curious to see how many times Coach Rob decides to put it in the air. But yeah, I got Hoax Bluff winning this one big.
Yeah.
And we got Etowah opening Region 6 play at Crossville.
3-0 Etowah. I'll go ahead and call it right now. 19-0 over Moody last week. Crossville comes in 0-2. They lost 47-14 to Collinsville. This should be a fairly easy game. I look for Etowah and Coach Drew Knowles. I look for him to play a lot of young guys Friday night.
I think this is a good game for Etowah because their offense was a little slow out the gates last week. This is a game where Dericki, coming off that injury last week, and he played well, and then Brady's still, coming in playing more and more. This is a game for them where I think they'll be able to really kind of break out this game. Possibility. They want to start stronger, and keep on playing for 4 quarters, and as you said, possibly a lot of young guys play. I have Etowah winning, possibly in a shutout.
Well, and this, I hate to bring up trap game. This could be a trap game for Etowah, because as soon as they get done with Crossville, they got Sardis, and Sardis is no joke, folks. So that's a huge game, and so if anything, you're going to coach Etowah and say, look, guys, one game at a time. We'll get Sardis next week, but we've got to concentrate on Crossville right now.
And Sparkman's going to be traveling to Titan Stadium to play Gadsden City. That's the Region 4 opener for both teams.
Gadsden City, they took one on the chin last week, dropping to 0-2, 35-6 to Oxford. But then again, here again, and I'm going to say it again, Gadsden City's started the season 0-4 and ended up in the state semifinals. Could we see the same thing right now? Quite frankly, I could see that happen. I could see Gadsden City go deep in the playoffs, even though they start the season off 0-2. I think they get off the schneid Friday night, and I look for them to beat Sparkman.
I'm having a hard time figuring out Sparkman. They beat Hazel Green 14-7, but Hazel Green, also lost to Grissom 26-21. Grissom's typically not, they're usually a weaker team in 7A football.
And Grissom's 2-0 now.
Yeah, and so it's kind of curious to see, that region, to your point, is really improving a lot.
Yeah.
And that's, Gadsden City's top half of that schedule is pretty rough.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how Gadsden City responds in this one. I think starting out strong is going to be key. If they can get that first touchdown, that's going to be really big for them to build that confidence up because, I'm kind of wondering to see how they come out, starting out 0-2. It's not like your season's over. You play 2 really good teams, and your real season starts this week when you're in region play. Size is going to be an issue for Gadsden City, as it is most weeks. But Sparkman's got some pretty big boys from a little bit of what I've seen of them. I'm gonna have to go with Sparkman in this one. I think they pull away late, and I think Gadsden City drops to 0-3.
Okay, all right.
And then I think our game of the week this week is Southside playing at Sardis. The first time these 2 teams have played since '77.
Yeah. It's been a while. Southside, they're coming off a 42-13 loss to Hoax Bluff. They're 0-2. Sardis, on the other hand, 1-0, defending region champions. Knocked off Sylvania last week, 27-3. This one's kind of a toss-up for me, especially when you have a talented back like Kenneth Bothwell Jr. back there. He ran for 167 yards and 2 touchdowns last week against Hoax Bluff, a good Hoax Bluff team, by the way. And so, to me, this is really kind of the toss-up of the week. But I have to go with the home team. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Yeah, same here. I've seen Southside both of their first games and struggle a little bit on offense. The first game, obviously, they didn't have Cat, and then Cat comes back. He runs for, like you said, about 167, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. But I really feel like Sardis can make some noise in this region, and I think they're going to start it out with a win. I mean, you're going to see a lot of running this game as you did last week in Southside's game. I had Sardis ran the ball 34 times, passed 7 times, and then Southside ran it 36 times, only passed it 12.
Wow.
So you're going
to be a quick game.
Right. You know, and Drew Vaughn rushed for 101 yards for them last week, and Trent Presley is a threat on the ground. I'm kind of curious to see. I think Sardis is going to have to throw it a little more this week than they did last week, so I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. It looks like they did play both quarterbacks, so that one interests me, but I do have Sardis in this one.
Well, it should be an interesting. Like I said, we're getting ready for the playoff stretch, folks, and this week we'll really officially kick it off. You know, mind you that Westbrook is playing out of region, but still a majority of the teams in the state will start jockeying for position, getting ready for that playoff stretch, and that means that the quality of football only gets better. And we'll be out there this week covering it, trying to do our best to cover a majority of the games that we can. Again, be sure to join us Friday night around 11 o'clock. We'll be on Facebook Live to review some of the games. And if you get a chance, check us out. We'll check all the videos, the photographs, game stories, previews at thegadsdentimes.com. Until then, thank you for your time, and our time is out.